Wow. All right.
So, how many other people watching?
No, just online friends.
Oh.
That's on. We're live.
Okay.
We are live here at Eastside Gallery in Frederick, Maryland. And I am showing you the work on the wall of Kitty Johnson, who's here demonstrating her painting. She's painting a goose today. And I was just asking her if she takes commissions.
I do.
You do?
I do. I have done commissions of, I did a commission of a cow, someone's favorite cow in Loudon, and I've done a couple commissions of dogs. So mostly animal portraiture.
Yeah. And it's animal portraits, that's your main subject anyway.
Yeah.
Painting animals.
That's what I gravitate towards. I love landscapes and I'm delving more into them. But inevitably I end up putting an animal in that landscape.
Like I do, I always have to put people in and now more animals.
Yes.
So Kitty works in oil and she just sketched out her goose.
Right. So typically what I do is I start with a canvas either that has been primed with a red tone or a burnt umber tone. Today I'm just working on an unprimed canvas, but I came in with burnt sienna and sketched out the goose. And now I'm going to go in and put some dark values in, some shadow values.
That's a very purpley color. What color is that?
So this is a different shade of blue. This is alizarin, crimson, and then I used a different type of blue today. What is this? This is cobalt blue.
Oh, okay.
Usually I use an ultramarine. That's my go-to, but I just thought I would start with this. I typically don't use black much. I'll use black when I'm going into a really dark shadow, or for instance the pupil of an animal where I really want it to be defined. But usually when I'm doing shadows I use a mixture of something in the blue tones and something in the red tones to create the dark shadows.
That sounds nice and warm.
I love using color, and one of my biggest downfalls, what am I trying to say, biggest frustrations is the muddiness and going over and over. And with oils, for me, I have to know when to say when. I have to know when to leave it alone, let it dry, and come back tomorrow and start again. Because, as you know, if you've got muddiness and you go over the muddiness with more paint, you're creating more muddiness.
Yeah, just mixed with what's underneath.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly.
I love how you capture the personality of all of your animals. I mean, even this guy, just with the outline, you see his little strut and swagger and the angle of everything. Well, they just all have such wonderful personalities.
Thank you. They are entertaining, and I believe they all have souls, and they all have their own personalities. And,
oh yeah.
The more time I grew up in the suburbs, so farm animals. It's been a new experience for me coming out to Loudon and visiting farms, and you know. For instance, just being around cows, they play like dogs. They have a very playful tendency. So it's yeah, I love being around them, and they don't talk back.
They just give you those meaningful looks.
Yes. Yes.
So now you studied art in.
So I studied biology in Virginia, and have an undergraduate in biology, and several years later went back to school to the University of South Carolina and got a degree in fine art, which was mostly practicing art, and loved it, loved every minute of it. Raised a family, and then gradually have come to spend more and more time painting. But it's always been, visual arts have always been a love of mine. As with you.
That's with me, yeah.
So yeah, so I'm putting in just the dark, and one thing that's wonderful about oil paints is I can go in and if I don't like something, I can actually take this canvas, put it flat, pour the solution on it, and wipe it all away.
What are you using? Like a paint thinner?
It's like Turpenoid. This is a Gamblin product. It's a refined turpentine.
Yeah.
So that it's fairly odorless. Fairly. And I treat it with respect. Whenever I paint, I try to have ventilation because it's a caustic substance.
Yeah.
So, and typically when I paint now, I've started wearing gloves, along with the COVID thing that got me into wearing gloves. I decided, all right, I'm going to adopt that process.
No, that's mine. I'm talking to the dog. You can get her more. Open it. Yeah, even the odorless, the ones they say are odorless mineral spirits. If you're not ventilating, you're still breathing the chemical. You just can't smell it. That would be like having gas in the house without the added.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I found that to be true with paints as well. I think the more costly paints are not typically as stinky. But sometimes when, if you get a cheaper oil, definitely very smelly. So I typically go around Loudoun County and try to get pictures. I will ask people who I know have farms if I can visit their homes and take a photo shoot.
Do you still go with Loudoun Sketch Club on their paint outs?
I have in the past. I have not this year, but I know they have. They go to beautiful places, and I do receive the notices, and that's something I need to take more advantage of.
Yeah, because that's access to some farms that are private and
absolutely
beautiful.
Beautiful places. where even if I don't go to paint, if I just take my camera and take photographs to then paint by. I'm not, right now plein air is not, like, it frightens me a little bit, but I need to delve more into plein air.
I've been watching the Portrait Artist of the Year, which is a competition held over in England, but they also have Landscape Artist of the Year, and they'll have the competing artists at different places in the UK, painting the same property, kind of like when we went out with Lounge Sketch Club, and in all different media, mostly painting.
And so they have a certain amount of time.
It's like 4 hours. I think landscape is the same. The portrait artists have 4 hours.
Right. Amazing.
Jim's insisting that I do it one day. But secretly I always wanted to, so.
Started in Frederick.
It would be very interesting to actually see if I could get into the portrait one, because not many people do life drawing in colored pencil. And I just wrote an article for Colored Pencil Society of America's magazine that's coming out right now. I'm waiting for it to arrive in my mailbox on life drawing. Yeah, the founder asked me, she said, some of us would like to know how you completed a portrait in colored pencil in 4 hours.
That's amazing.
I guess I had posted after one of my life drawing sessions, and
that is amazing, because if you think of this and the broad brushstrokes I get with this compared to pencil, that would be.
Yep, and I had filled a whole completed with background, everything, and posted it. And they just want to know how I do it. Because colored pencil, like a lot of artists, like what you're doing, we work from photographs, because then we can work back in our studio.
Right.
And everything we wanted, the lighting, the pose, whatever, is preserved in the picture. So to do the plein air, to do the life drawing it's challenging.
It would be.
It's challenging and it's fun. But yeah, I would usually go out and just take some pictures and maybe make a sketch or two.
You paint from pictures you've taken?
From photographs, yeah, and then I'll probably like what you may be doing with your goose. You have the goose from one picture, and then decide what your background's going to be, and if you need to use another reference for that, or whether you make it up in your head.
Yes. And that's something that has taken me years to realize, is having that sort of visual encyclopedia in your mind so that you're not reliant on a photograph. You have learned enough about a background to know, okay, this is what I want dark here, and it doesn't have to be exact, but you can give the impression of it, and it works because your mind is drawn to your subject, and you don't need a lot of detail in your background. So I just go back and forth, and I will do some of the base colors today, let it dry. I'll come back tomorrow or the next day, add more. I will not water down, I use solvent to I mean, with oils, you go from fat to lean. So I'll put down, actually, it's not what I'm doing. I'm doing what I'm not supposed to do, because what I'm putting down here is fairly lean. I'm mixing in a lot of solvent with this. You can tell by my brush stroke. But if I were doing this properly, I would be putting down a heavier base and then working with a more transparent, almost glazing.
Now, do you use the terpenoid throughout, or do you use different things for the glazing?
I do. I tend to, the terpenoid is my go-to. Just actually, again, it's a Gamblin product, and I don't have it with me, but it's the Gamblin turpentine, the refined turpentine. I know Gamblin also makes a product that is supposed to be good for the environment. That is a paint. I don't want to use the word thinner, but it's a gel medium. Mm-hmm. So, and it's clear, and you can. It has sort of a jelly-like consistency, so you put some of that on your palette, and if you want to thin your paints, you can use that instead of turpentine, and that is actually better for the environment. It's not as caustic, from what I've heard, as the...
But you tend to use just washes of the...
I do. It's...
Because I used when I did oil paint, I did the Merge medium, which is like that Gamblin sort of gel.
Gel, okay.
And so you're kind of floating the... I knew people who did just like Leon Berkowitz just did washes in turpentine and paint.
Right.
And some people did that, but we did the gel method where, so then your layers are just floating and you kind of see through them.
Yes.
That way.
Yes.
Same as doing it thinner with the paint thinner with the terpenoid.
Exactly.
But the idea is, that you're glazing over it.
Right.
So your feathers are just beautiful in some of your pictures behind you. And
thank you.
Is that, they can't be done too thin. You probably use substantial, but it's more the brush strokes.
You're exactly right. So it's a right loose feel. Yes, the paint was thick there and layered on to a smaller brush. So what I did in those cases was I would put down a base layer. And then to give the effect of light hitting feathers, yes, I would come in with a smaller brush and do brush strokes of different colors to grab the light.
Yeah, they are beautiful. If you look at, I'm zooming in on the woodpecker's chest. There's just so much color in it. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
And that's not easy to do in paint or in pencil.
No, it's not. It's not.
I'm still working out my feathers.
And hair. Hair?
See, I can do hair and fur, but feathers they have, the individual feathers sometimes have a formation, and then the feathers as a whole have a formation.
Right.
So it's kind of a double whammy. But I've noticed with the people who do my medium, like color pencil with feathers, to get those little light tips is what you want. And you've got it with the brush strokes so nicely. Oh, you want to tilt it down a little bit? I was seeing her painting a little more. There we go. So I had moved it.
I'm going to add some glue. Yeah, and again, for me, and I don't know if you're like this, a matter of knowing when to just walk away, because there are times when I get very frustrated, and it's also difficult. I've had discussions like this with other painters. When do you stick with a painting, and when do you say, no, I need to start over? Do you ever reach that point?
I set them aside, and sometimes when I set them aside for a very long time
And come back?
and come back and still say no.
Yeah.
But like, I have to, like you're saying, you walk away and give yourself that space.
Right.
And what I usually find is when I come back, I'm improving all the time. I'm changing my perspective all the time.
Yes.
So when I come back, if I feel like that's not something that I would finish,
Right.
then luckily mine are just on a piece of paper.
Then you just
or cut them down, just crop them and do just a little bit.
find a new
I
piece
have
of
one here like that. But yeah, I could crop them differently or change something about them.
I understand.
Yeah, I had a year where I had put some things aside, and when I came back to them, the girl with the bow and arrow, I had
Was cropped?
something where I had to change the foot of the osprey, and I hadn't gotten to it. But yeah, I still wanted to finish that one. There's more that I just kind of, it's like, do I want to finish that?
How many pieces do you have going at one time?
Oh, well, because there are ones that are set aside, then some of them are, I guess you would say they're in process.
Right.
So there can be a lot. But I would consider that I probably have one or two small ones, the little 8x10.
Right.
My little raccoon here.
Oh.
And I
love
have
that.
something else. So these are ones that I can carry with me and work on.
Ah, see,
But
that's
probably only one big one or two big ones at a time are really my focus. I may have some other ones in my beautiful bin that I have to share with you sometime.
okay.
I think I had posted it on our Facebook group. Jim took a regular shelving unit, but then instead of like the IKEA shelves, instead of putting the shelves in, took the wire closet shelves and put them in at an angle to make a rack.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Oh.
Very, very cool. And then the little holes that you put the pegs in to hold the shelf, you put like a metal rod across, and then the shelving hangs on it, so I can stick in, like, here's all my unused paper, and here are all my works in process, and here are my big mats, and got them all off the floor. Or wherever I was stacking them before that was taking up floor space.
Keep track.
Yeah.
I was told at one time by a woman I studied with that you should always have 3 paintings going.
Yes, because especially in oil, you have to wait that day in between sometimes.
Yes.
If you come back with terpenoid and that's not dry, it's going to destroy that underlayer.
Yes.
It won't just mix with it, it'll wipe it away, like you were talking about.
Right.
Taking it and just wiping out the picture.
Right.
So, now where do you have a studio in your house? Is that where you paint?
I have a wonderful shed.
Oh,
It's my shed. It's in the backyard.
the she shed.
The she shed. It is, and I had it built, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago. There is nothing luxurious about it. It has no, the plywood is what I look at. There's no siding on the inside, there's no drywall.
Oh no!
There's no running water, no heat, so I use an electric cord to set up a heater in the winter, and I have 4 dogs that come in with me, and they usually will sit in front of the heater so that I don't get any heat.
I have to make you friends with Alan Woollett on Facebook. He is, that's his Ed's watching. Hi Ed. If you have any questions, type them in. He's one of the best bird artists.
Okay.
There's a competition of bird artists in, gosh, I want to say Michigan. I'm going to be wrong. It might be Wisconsin. Anyway, somewhere up there. And he's, they've even purchased his work for the permanent collection.
Okay.
And he's won that. He works in graphite and color pencil.
Okay.
Started as watercolors, I think, but I've only known him as color pencil, whatever. But he has a little garden shed in his yard that is his studio, which is real cute, because sometimes he'll show the inside of where he's working, and like up on his wall of fame, he'll have postcards from all of us up there, or prints of people's work. It's so fun. Facebook makes it such a small world.
It does.
And I watch some people like that because, like I was just saying about the feathers, you may do it one way in paint, and I'm going, how the heck am I going to do that in a colored pencil?
In a pencil.
And so I've got to look at what is somebody doing and how are they doing that. And, or just cross media because you have the same subject, because you're both doing birds. How does that person do a bird?
Oh, I would love to see that.
Yeah.
So now.
But your garden thing reminded me, like, Alan Willett's out in his garden doing birds.
Yeah. I wouldn't have it any other way. It just feels like a great place to paint, and it's such an escape for me.
Oh, so you like to get out of the house and go somewhere, like I'm going to my studio?
I do. I feel like it's kind of my office, and it's great, and it overlooks. Right now, it overlooks a wheat field, and it's just very peaceful.
That's nice.
It is. It really is.
Have a view.
It really is so nice. But I have not been doing it quite as often. Like I said, I will go out. I have one of the last remaining dairy farms in Loudoun County right next to me. And I can't tell you the number of times someone else has been driving and I'll scream, pull the car off the road, I need to take a picture.
Pull the car off the road. I need to take pictures of you braiding your hair. I did to my daughter. Oh, if you guys have questions, you can come over and ask or just shout them out from over there. We're here also with
I'm listening.
Steve Gibson, who does glass art. It's just fused glass art. It's just beautiful. And Jill Hostler, who is one of our painters here at Eastside. Oh, and your website is Indigo Cow Art.
Actually, my website is Kitty Johnson, KITTY Johnson Art. So
.com. I've only seen the Indigo Cow Art, which is your Etsy page and your Facebook page.
Exactly.
Okay, but there's also kittyjohnson.com.
KittyJohnsonArt.com.
Exactly.
Good. And as a matter of fact, my husband, who's right there, just loaded a bunch of new paintings on it. So, but I do sell my things on Etsy.
So that is something you all should know out there, because it's such a rainy day. We're not having visitors here at the gallery because our street traffic is almost nothing here in Frederick. But you can go to kittyjohnson.com, or kittyjohnsonart.com or to Indigo Cow Art on Etsy and see her artwork and purchase her artwork. This goose is coming along so great. He just has such a nice shift of his weight.
Geese have.
He's got this little tilt of his head.
Well, aren't they? I hate to use the word comical because they're regal, but geese, like chickens, just have such interesting physiques. The way they move, they're like dinosaurs.
I always think birds, because they have wings instead of arms, always look like they have their arms behind their back. They're kind of doing this. And so the shift is like from their shoulder.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. They are...
Especially like if you see a black crow and he's waddling down the street and it looks like he's...
Right. Right, exactly.
Surveying everybody.
They do waddle. So I think I'm going to stop here.
That's fine.
For now, but that I will probably let dry and come back tomorrow or the next day and put my next layer on. But that's sort of a base coat, and then I will do some greenery and probably do a dark background here to highlight the goose head and come into some grass. And
where you would see shadow and him walking and all that down below.
We'll do a shadow here and do highlights so that we know the sun is shining on the goose.
Well, thank you. I'm just panning your beautiful art. Llama's peeking out from behind, and these are some pieces that are coming down today at Eastside, but contact Kitty or Eastside Gallery and we will put you in touch if you see a piece here that you... I love this frog down here. He's just something else. And the cockatiel. It's beautiful. Anyway, thank you, Kitty.
Thank you so much.